On May 4th of 2020, Umar Johnson explained the reason no renovation has been made to the property he purchased in Wilmington, Delaware. He stated it's because he's unable to find people to do the work, and he gave some specific reasons. Then he said he believes he found a group of people to do the work, but the holdup now is he's unable to find the original blueprints.
The reason there have been no renovations on the building. The reason there have been no renovations on the building. The reason there has been no renovations on the FDMG Academy campus 4 buildings. There's a two-part answer. Part number 1. We have been investigating and fielding HVAC technicians, electricians, and plumbers, fire alarm and security companies to make sure we get the best price, to make sure they can do the work, to make sure they can legally get the permit for the state of Delaware and the city of Wilmington, and to make sure they have expertise in doing commercial level work. That is a very tedious process. We have come across a lot of plumbers, but some of them don't have commercial experience. We have come across a lot of electricians, but some of them were not able to get their license in the state of Delaware or the city of Wilmington. We have come across a lot of HVAC people, but to be honest with you, some of their estimates were too expensive. We received estimates that were more expensive than the cost of the school itself. We received the estimates that were more expensive than the cost of the school itself. Remember, we're operating on limited dollars. We're operating on limited dollars, so we have to find people who can work within our budget. We have to find people who are responsible and reliable, who are not trying to get over on us. This is your money, and I have to spend it wisely. This is your money, and I have to spend it wisely. We have to make sure they can get the materials. We have to make sure they can do the work. We have to make sure they're not running a scam on us. That in and of itself has been a very laborious process. Finding the right people in and of itself has been a very laborious process. With that being said, I believe we have now found a group of professionals who can get the job done. With that being said, I think we have now found a group of professionals who can get the job done. So what is the holdup now if you found the people, Dr. Umar, who can do the work? We've only had the school for a year. We've only had the school for a year. The other problem, or the other part of the answer as to why there have been no renovations on the school, relates to another suspicious reality that we're dealing with. And that is, we cannot find the original architectural blueprints for the campus. Let me say it again. Before you can do work on a commercial building, you have to have the contracts, the blueprints, the drawings. You got to have them. They have to be registered with license and inspection. The electrician has to look them over to make sure they can understand it and do the work. The HVAC technicians have to look over the blueprints to make sure they can understand them and do the work. The plumber has to look over the blueprints, make sure they can understand it and do the work. We don't have the blueprints. The previous owner did not have the blueprints. Wilmington City License and Inspection has not found the blueprints.
Then on May 22nd of 2020, he stated he found the blueprints and the architect is reviewing them to see if there are any changes that have to be made.
I wanted to give a quick FDMG status update, brothers and sisters. We found the architectural designs. We have the blueprints. Right now, my architect is reviewing the blueprints to determine if there's any changes that need to be made to the blueprints. The Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy is formerly the Moyer Charter School, Black Charter School. Shout out to all the former staff and students of the Moyer Academy. That school was re-outfitted from the ground up approximately 10 years ago. In those 10 years, there could have been changes to the code. In other words, you may have only needed 2 bathrooms per certain number of students. Now you might need 4 bathrooms per certain number of students. You may have only needed 1 fire alarm for every 500 feet. You might need 2 fire alarms for every 500 feet. You may have only needed 1 electrical outlet per 10 feet. Now you might need 2 electrical outlets per 10 feet. So we have to go through the plumbing design, the HVAC design, the electrical design to determine if any of those designs are out of code as of 2020. That's what we're doing. So once that is done, hopefully next week, that's the good news. The bad news is now we got to start re-entertaining those estimates, So now is the time, if you know people in those trades, to get in contact with Dr. Umar so they can put forth their bid for the project.
Notice in that video, he said the bad news now is we have to start re-entertaining those estimates. So now is the time, if you know people in those trades, to get in contact with him so they can put forth their bids for the project. Which is interesting because in the video he did on May 4th, 2020, he stated he believed he found a group of people to do the work. In June of 2020, during a radio interview, Umar Johnson said the blueprints is now in the hands of his architect. and he now has to update the plans according to the 2020 code.
Can you give us a quick update on the school? We saw the video of the new campus you guys have bought. So what are the next steps?
Yes, sir. As you know, we acquired the two schools on February the 7th of 2019. We had been held up all year, attorney, because we couldn't find the original design blueprints for the campus, which is still a mystery because the school was actually built from the ground not more than 10 years ago. So why can't we find the mechanical blueprints? Nonetheless, we finally caught up with the architect who did them. And so now they are in the hands of my architect in Wilmington, black architect. And so he now has to update the plans according to 2020 code.
Then on August 2nd of 2020, Umar Johnson stated he got the drawings and it cost $20,000.
Good news is we got the drawings. All right. We got the drawings. $20,000 worth of work right here. $20,000. Architectural designs, plumbing, electric, mechanical, general contractor. Shout out to the donors. $20,000 worth of designs right here. We got the designs. That's the good news.
Then in a radio interview 7 days later, he said the blueprints cost $25,000.
Pay them no mind. I'm so focused on the mission.
That's right.
I picked up the architectural design, cost us $25,000, but I finally got them done.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go over what Umar Johnson said in the past about the blueprints because it will help put the audio we are going to listen to into perspective. I have seen several comments from people along the lines of why are blueprints required in order to renovate/repair the property. Well, let's listen to some audio from February 7th of 2021.
We have been struggling and pushing so hard to try to get the Honorable Marcus Garvey Elementary School and the Nat Turner Jean-Jacques Dessalines Gymnasium completed. And we've come up against roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. First roadblock was getting the plans, the school plans. We finally got the school plans. And to be honest with you, I don't think they were really necessary.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Wait, what did he just say? Let's run that back.
We finally got the school plans. And to be honest with you, I don't think they were really necessary. Because the school simply needed to be repaired, not reconstructed. Only repaired. This was not a new construction project. It was a repair project. And now that I look back on it, that $25,000 plus that we spent on the engineering plans, I'm not too sure they were necessary.
So let's get this straight. He is saying he doesn't think the blueprints, the drawings that he said in May of 2020 was one of the reasons no renovation has been done was necessary. You also notice the cost of the blueprints has changed once again. First it was $20,000, then it was $25,000. Now he's saying it cost $25,000 plus. So if we are to believe him, the repairs/renovations were delayed because of blueprints that were not necessary. So he spent $25,000 plus on blueprints that were not necessary. But let's keep going.
However, I did have at least one contractor who previously constructed the school. He was the original contractor that originally designed the campus, the Moyer Academy campus. He told me he would need engineering plans, but there's no way to know if that was him talking or the engineer talking through him. But nonetheless, that was the first roadblock, getting the plans. And getting the plans took us until last spring trying to get some plans. Now remember, first, we had to track down the original plans. I finally found the original architect who did the plans. So we got the plans. But I want to be honest with you guys, and I'm not being critical of the engineer, but he could have redesigned those plans from scratch. And now in retrospect, I can see he didn't want to do that because he wanted to make his job as easy as possible on himself, not really caring about how much time was being lost by FDMG. Because he could have did them plans again. He could have just reconstructed them, but he wanted the originals to make his job easy. And to be honest with you, one day I need to look at the originals and I need to compare them to the new ones just to see how much he actually changed. Because to be honest, brothers and sisters, I don't believe he changed more than maybe 40% of the original design plan. If that, so again, that $25,000, it shouldn't have been that much. Probably should have only been half that, especially given the fact that you went off the original plans. You didn't do them from scratch. You didn't do it from scratch. You went off the original plans and you didn't have to change much. And you made me wait around for damn near a year looking for the originals because you didn't want to design it from scratch.
So he's saying he paid for blueprints to be changed/updated, and you notice the price changed once again. We are back to $25,000, but he didn't review the blueprints to see what was actually changed. He's not even sure what was actually changed. Now let's listen to the next reason the renovations to the property has been delayed.
So once we got the plans, we started entertaining bids, right? So from about April, it may have been later than April, to be honest with you, when we got the plans, but just to say from April of 2020 until about September. So that's April, May, June, July, August. So 6 months we were trying to get the right contractors to do the job. I wanted to go with the original contractor who constructed the school in the beginning. So the school was originally different buildings. I think there was a Goodwill. I think the Frederick Douglass High School was once a Goodwill with some other buildings right next to it. And the Marcus Garvey side of the street, those were some other like row homes or something like that. So they took the existing buildings and reconstructed them into the school. And I met the original contractor who did the school from the ground, who reconstructed the buildings into what became the Moyer Academy and what is now the FDMG Academy. And I thought he was going to do the job. And I sent him the plans and everything, and I never heard back from him. And so then I started speaking with other white contractors, and I never heard back from most of them either. And then I started speaking to white plumbers, never heard back from them. White HVAC, never heard back from them. White electricians, never heard back from them. So I believe, brothers and sisters, that some sort of communication went out to all of the white tradesmen to not accept any work on the school. I believe that because there's no way that every single white contractor that came to look at the school never responded to me. None of them ever responded to me, not a single one. They came out, and then once they learned who I was and what the school was, I never heard back from them. You're talking about 1 to 2 dozen contractors. That's just too many people to not hear back from any. There seems to be something systematic going on with them. So
if we are to believe him, he's saying none of the white contractors in Delaware wants to work with him. He said 1 to 2 dozen contractors. So 12 to 24 white contractors don't want to work with him. I find that interesting and hard to believe, and here's why. Between my personal home and my rental properties, I have worked with several contractors, and I have never had a contractor say, I am not going to work with you because you are black. I did have one guy though that tried to try me. I was getting some new windows installed. I was paying cash and the job was a little over $9,000. He said he would have to pull my credit. I said, for what? My credit is excellent. However, I'm paying cash and I'm giving a down payment. So there's really no reason for you to pull my credit. I had a pool built a couple months ago. I paid cash and the company didn't even pull my credit. He was unable to give me a feasible answer to why he needed to pull my credit. Was it because I was black? Maybe. Or was it because the company had a flawed policy? Guess what I did? I just called a different company and got the job done. So I find it hard to believe none of the white contractors in Delaware wanted to work with him. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm not buying a total of 24 white contractors was unwilling to work with him. Let's listen to the next reason the renovations have been delayed.
Right. You can only use the black ones. And then that's a problem because the black ones, many of them were so dishonest with their estimates, so undisciplined with their level of commitment to completing the job. It's been crazy. It's been crazy. We just had to let the electrical contractor go because they had overcharged us. So now we have to find another electrical contractor to finish the job because they were charging us 3 times as much as what the project should have costed. And it bothers me because everybody knows we're using the community's money. Now, I do want to say this, and someone brought this to my attention the other day. Part of the reason that the black contractors are trying to overcharge is because they listen to the haters on YouTube. And the haters have people thinking that I'm sitting on millions of dollars. Brothers and sisters, we have not eclipsed $1 million yet, not including any expenditures and expenses. We have not received $1 million in 6 years, 9 months, and however many days. But the haters are putting out there that I've raised millions of dollars and I'm sitting on several million. So if you're a thirsty contractor and you're hearing rumors that Dr. Umar has collected several $1 million, then of course you will, stroke up your estimates on repairs. So I think that might be part of the reason why the black contractors are overcharging us. And let me be clear. I only reached out to black contractors in the beginning. It was only when I realized that they were overcharging me, and I realized that some of them couldn't do the job. Some of them didn't want to do the job. Some of them didn't want to admit they didn't know how to do the job, or they either wanted to overcharge for the job. So trying to use the black contractors really put me in a bad space. That's why so much time was being wasted, because I kept running across contractors who either wanted too much, right? Or was just giving me the runaround because they didn't want to do the job or didn't know how to do the job. And in most cases, I think it was they didn't know how to do the job, because everybody would have wanted the money. So I think it was more about they were more residential electricians, not commercial electricians, and didn't want to say that. They were more residential HVACers and not commercial HVACers, and didn't want to say that. They were more residential plumbers and not commercial plumbers, and they didn't want to say that. I think that was a big problem. Many of the people who were coming out didn't want to tell me this is beyond my expertise.
Well, that is believable, because you know how those black people are. They are dishonest, unreliable, and not qualified. I am being sarcastic, of course. What you just heard in that clip is Umar Johnson using the negative stereotyping placed on black people as a way to validate his story as to why he's not able to find any black contractors. Unbelievable. But that is what Umar Johnson does. Listen to this audio clip from 2019.
So we purchased those schools outright with the money that has been raised for the past 5 years on February the 7th of 2019.
Congratulations.
Since that time until now, we have been trying to work with some of the black contractors around the country to see if maybe we could get some black contractors to come in, do the work, and pay them. But we were hoping that they would be able to work with us and not charge us market rate for their services. Up until now, these 6 or 7 months since we've had school, we have not been able to do that. We've had found black contractors, but none who were willing to offer us any type of rate or agreement that would give us some sort of benefit towards working with them as opposed to working with Europeans. They haven't really been responsible. They haven't really been transparent. They haven't really been as supportive as they claim they were. Prior to purchasing the school, you heard all types of black contractors and tradesmen saying, once it gets to school, I'll help, but the school is here. And they have not came forward to do the type of volunteer work that they claim that they would. So with that being said, we're now just looking at contractors in general, reputable contractors around the state of Delaware and throughout the West Coast, throughout the East Coast and the Midwest, and even around the country. Of course, they would have to come and get certified and licensed in the state of Delaware as well as in the city of Wilmington to do the work. But having waited, 8 months to get black contractors to do the work, because we want to keep the money in black hands as much as possible, because it is black money that purchased the school. And I do want to thank all of the donors who helped us raise the money to purchase the school. But we have not been successful finding a group of black tradesmen and women who we feel could get this job done, get the job done in a timely fashion, get the job done with a level of quality that would allow license and inspections to improve that work, approve that work, and grant us our certificate of occupancy. So, as you know, when you're dealing with commercial contractual work, there's levels to it, there's permits that have to be pulled, there's inspections that have to be taken place. And I've had brothers come forward who could do the work, but they don't have the paperwork, they don't have the licenses and the certifications to do it. So that has been another hang up. And so we're just moving forward. I do get inquiries from Black construction brothers and sisters in the construction on a regular basis, and we continue to vet them, have them walk through the school, see what they can do. Nothing has yielded fruit at this time, and I don't want to continue to wait because we waited long enough. So now I am going to start looking at non-African sources of labor as well to get this work done on the school. So that's where we are.
Umar, what happened to this Black contractor?
Black power, who we got? Yes, sir.
You ready to do them now?
Do the what now? Yes, sir. We working on them.
You know, I looked at this side. I gave you an estimate a while back.
With the paint.
No, the HVAC system.
Give me your name, brother.
Hollingsworth Mechanical Contract. Hollingsworth James.
You still got my number in there? I need to,
It doesn't sound like this Black contractor is unable to do the work because the first thing he said is, "Are you ready to do them now?" If you listen to the complete conversation, it sounds like he presented Umar with an estimate for the HVAC work, and Umar might have said he wasn't ready to do the work. Now let's move to the electrical work. Umar is saying he had to let the electrical contractor go because they were overcharging him and they took $64,000.
We just had to let the electrical contractor go because they had overcharged us. So now we have to find another electrical contractor to finish the job because they were charging us 3 times as much as what the project should have costed. Word has circulated around Delaware amongst the Black contractors that they may not want to do work with me. And I think that comes from some of the contractors who overcharged me. And I chose not to go with them. It probably also is coming from the outgoing electricians who I'm sure don't have anything positive to say about me, although they took $64,000 of our money.
He also said the electrical company took his money and didn't finish the work.
we had one Black electrical company, they played us for suckers, took our money, didn't finish the work. Contract was for 60 days, they took almost 120 days and ain't even finished the damn job. Come on, y'all, we ain't got no Black electricians and plumbers that care enough about Black boys to help us finish the damn work. Come on!
However, based on the conversation another YouTuber had with the electrical contractor and email communication between Umar and the electrical contractor, that is not what happened. The electrical contractor said Umar suspended their contract. He also said they had some arbitrary dates to finish, but no one else was working in the buildings. So even if they were to finish their job, they would still have to come back and do more things because the HVAC wasn't finished and the ceiling grids wasn't finished. So they really couldn't finish their job 100%. So they went and finished some other jobs because nothing else was moving in the school. Meaning there should have been other work happening simultaneously, such as the HVAC, so they could complete their job 100%. He also stated they did not run off with any money. They had all intentions of completing the job. However, Umar suspended their contract, and he felt suspending the contract was a nice way of throwing them off the job. In the email Umar Johnson sent to the electrical contractor that was working on the property, he said, and I am paraphrasing, "Our independent electrical engineering and inspection team completed their assessment this past week. The electrical room was rebuilt well. However, they saw little evidence of new wiring being run throughout the building. Beyond the electrical room, there wasn't much evidence of new work being done aside from the lights being switched on. The independent electrical team had trouble comprehending the need for $160,000 in electrical repair for 3 buildings. They determined that the $64,000 that was already distributed to you was not totally spent in repairs, material, and manpower. I have relayed this information to our board, who have determined that our contract with your company is to be suspended immediately." So he's saying he's having a hard time finding people to do the work, but he has an independent electrical engineering and inspection team. Also, based on the information provided by the electrical contractor, the price was discussed. So why would Umar have a problem with the price after the job had already started? Here is what I think. Umar suspended the electrical work because he got what he wanted out of this transaction. Let me explain. Most of the progress, or what appears to be progress, seems to have been prompted/influenced by the critics, or what Umar Johnson calls haters, rather than a plan by Umar to get these properties into operation as a functioning school. We can start with the purchase of the property, but I'll leave that for a separate video. So let's start with the taxes. Umar Johnson knew he would have to pay taxes on this property. Here he is in June of 2019, giving some people a tour of the property, and he tells them he has to pay taxes on the property.
This is it.
No, we own this flat.
Flat out? That's what's up.
We got to pay
Taxes.
And we're doing the tax bill. I'm going to have to do a fundraiser for the tax bill. In fact, the cookout might be the tax bill.
Hey.
But he did not address the unpaid taxes until people started making videos showing the taxes had not been paid. And videos about the unpaid taxes became a topic of discussion during one of Umar Johnson's radio interviews.
Well, I want to say I was very disturbed, Brother Umar, that some brother would take the time and go through, seem like 30 years of research to talk about the tax situation with your school.
Umar Johnson did eventually set up a payment agreement with Newcastle County back in 2019. He made 2 payments and then stopped. Who remembers the cleanup day back in 2019?
Peace and love, black families. Dr. Umar Johnson, the Prince of Pan-Africanism. We live at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy cleanup day from 10 until 2. Show them the dumpster a little bit. Somebody done already dumped off in my dumpster.
I believe this was also a result of people constantly leaving comments stating, why don't you get some people to help you clean up the property? Then we have the volunteer paint day. Once I saw the video, I knew it was for show. Because for one, you don't normally paint the exterior of a building without pressure washing it first. The reason you would normally pressure wash the building before painting is to remove any dirt. It would also get rid of old paint, mildew, and any chalking that you may not be able to see. You can tell the buildings were not pressure washed before painting, because in the video where he shows the volunteers painting, you can see what appears to be either mold or mildew still on the wall.
Keeping us back right now. It's the HVAC that's keeping us back. And here goes Sister Keita and Brother Manny, late, but they here. Sister Keita, say what's up.
The reason for the mold or mildew on the wall is because a piece of the downspout is missing. So the water runoff from the roof is running down the wall. Here is some more video of the volunteers painting, and they have painted over the mildew or mold.
Y'all see Keita over there. Who did this right here? Who did this part? That's you? All right. She thinks she got it going on, huh?
Here's why I also say this is for show. Because after 7 months, there are still parts of the building that have not been painted. Here is a picture of the property that was posted about 2 weeks ago, and you can see a portion of the building that has not been painted. And if you look at the property using Google Maps, you can see more areas of the building that show the job has not been completed. Then we have the situation with the lights. The question of why there are no lights, or why haven't the lights been turned on, has been an ongoing question. I think it would be safe to say it was impossible for Umar Johnson to go live without someone mentioning the lights. I believe once the electrical contractors got the lights working, Umar had no interest in them finishing the job. Because now that the lights are on, it eliminates the question of, after 2 years of owning the property, why are the lights still not turned on? Also, he can now walk around inside of the property with the lights on, and people get the full sense that progress is being made. Because here's what doesn't make sense. He's saying he's having a hard time finding people to do the work. So you finally found an electrical contractor and you fired them before the work is completed. Also, he's saying they didn't finish the job in the time frame they said they would. If you know anything about construction, you know delays is not uncommon. It's not like because the electrical work was not completed on time, he had to push the opening date back because he still has to work on the plumbing, the HVAC, etc. I believe at this point Umar Johnson is in desperation mode. If you have been paying attention, you might have noticed the agenda has changed. At first, the goal was to renovate and get all the properties up and running. Then the focus shifted to the small property. Now, based on recent videos, the focus now seems to have shifted to the gym.
While we're talking about that, any updates on the Marcus Garvey Frederick Douglass Academy?
Yes, sir. We got the lights on in the small gymnasium, Baba David. So we've been making steady progress. The lights are on in the elementary school. The lights are on in the small gym. I haven't been to the small gym yet to see the lights on, but they have them on. So that's going to feel real good because I want to get the gym up and running, Baba David, so we can start having some meetings. I want to start holding my Ifa Tunde classes inside the gym. So we are in a rush. We've always been in a rush to get school done, but I'm in an extra special rush to get the Nat Turner Jean-Jacques Dessalines Gymnasium done. So now that the lights are on, we're waiting for the HVAC to get its license back from the city of Delaware so we can get that air and heating and cooling in there. And then we got to get the plumber to take care of that piece. And we should be able to get our certificate of occupancy for the gym. We're still pushing for the school, though. We want to have the school ready by the summertime, too, for our first annual Unapologetically African Family First Festival. That's the first annual UAFFF Festival on Ifa Tunde Avenue right there in front of the school. But the immediate goal is to get the gym up and running.
But it looks like he has a problem on his hands.
Y'all want to see the gymnasium? I'm going to show y'all the Nat Turner Gymnasium. Y'all about to see the Nat Turner Gymnasium. We inside the Nat Turner Gym. Nat Turner Gymnasium, brothers and sisters. Nat Turner, our plumber is about to fix this right here. The water is backing up a little bit. Let me show y'all. See that drain? The water backing up through that drain, so the plumber is about to go in and unclog that. You know, the school was unoccupied for 4 years, so we're going to get the drain fixed.
From that video, we see that there's a problem with the drainage system in the gym. That video was from October 19th, 2020. On the same day of that video, there is also video footage of a Mr. Ruder van on site.
All right. I opened up that mechanical room. You'll come to it soon when you get to the edge there. I saw it through the hole. Okay, yes, sir. They actually broke in from the inside. Is that how they got in? Yeah, you can walk up.
Here he is in December 4th of 2020 to be specific, dealing with the same problem once again.
It's not open? You said it's not open?
No, man. That thing.
What you mean by that? So how the water coming up then?
No. Oh look, yeah, that water being poured in here from the rainwater.
Nah, look. Unless you're saying it's coming from under the door over there because
I couldn't even, I was about to push this water out there, so it wasn't.
And it couldn't go. So it ain't coming from the door. I think it's coming up. Because here's the question. Sometimes it's dry, sometimes it's wet. Unless you think it's coming from the wall.
No.
Put that light on there, Billy.
Yeah, that big powerful. Yeah, see, if we had like, I don't even got my knife on me.
Yeah, screwdriver or something, man.
A screwdriver?
I can get this water drained, man.
Nah, I don't know, because you don't need a sewer stink, though. Because, you know, it clogs up because you need a sewer stink. Shit, they used to make me do, like, shit. I did 20 of these, like, big.
So what you think it is?
You just run it, well, right now.
We need the snake?
The snake, the nice little rigid one, the little one you drag around and stuff like that.
Do you rent those or you can just buy?
You can rent it from the Home Depot if you buy.
They electric?
Yeah, that's the thing you need.
We could run a line from the school.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Run an extension cord and shit like that, and then you just run it down. They got the 100 feet one and the 150 feet one. This commercial, 100 feet should be sufficient though. 150 just to be like overcautious and stuff like that.
So you think this water's coming up from the?
Yeah.
I think it's coming up. It has to.
If it was coming from the
some
ceiling,
of them tiles would be done in.
It would have been already dripping down white pieces.
You know, in the wall, I think we would have saw some sort of a dry trail.
Yeah, because everything was dry in here, and everything except that puddle right here.
Another reason why I don't think it's coming from the wall, because this water here, I'm gonna need y'all to push it and it's staying still. You feel me? So it would have never went that way. Yeah, it's coming up.
Why is he acting like this is a new problem and he wasn't aware the water wasn't draining correctly? You heard someone in the video say you need a sewer snake. Then you hear Umar say, do you rent those? It also appears that Umar doesn't know what that is, and this problem wasn't addressed before, which is interesting because in the video we watched earlier, the video from October 19th, 2020, he said the plumber was about to go in and unclog that. It's also clear from the communication Umar has no idea why the water is backing up, nor where the water is coming from. Here he is in March 4th of 2021 to be specific, 6 months after the first video he made about this problem, talking about the same problem, and he still doesn't know why the water is backing up and the source of the water.
Okay, Brother Sam. Peace and black power. How we doing there, sir? Pleased to meet you. Joe?
That's James right there.
James?
Yes,
and I met the brother here. All right? Yes, sir. So one of the issues we got here, fellas, is this right here.
Okay.
We got to find out where this water coming from.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the sewer. I don't know what's up, but we gotta handle that.
Okay,
But you see it's filled up a little bit with something in there.
Yeah, that's a sediment.
And we got another hole coming out right there, so I don't know if we want to snake it through and see what's going on there.
Yeah, let me get brother back.
Sure.
In this next video, you see and hear Umar discussing the problem with someone that is off camera. And based on the discussion, the person thinks the problem is due to a crack in the cast iron pipe, and the pipe would have to be replaced.
All right. So what we think, Baba? You looked on the side. What you think? Okay.
I know what it is, I think.
Okay.
Take a look.
Go ahead. What you think though on that?
Cool.
With the pipe.
Yeah, that's the cast iron he's talking about. It's a cast iron that go under there.
Okay. And you think it's a crack in that cast iron?
Yeah.
So how do we find out?
You have to replace it. You have to replace that section.
What, you got to go into the ground or what?
Yeah. It's running under the ground.
Okay. Is that something you can do?
Yeah, that's the only way we can do it.
Can you do it? Can y'all?
Oh, yeah, we can do it.
All right.
We can do it.
I'm all about solutions. I don't need the science. Y'all just give me the solution.
Yeah,
Feel me?
We can do that.
Give me the solution.
Well, first of all, we'll find out what the problem is.
Okay, y'all haven't found it.
Well, that.
Okay.
Now we got a solution.
All right. Go ahead.
You also heard Umar say, do you have to go into the ground? When you hear go into the ground, you might be thinking of digging up some dirt to access the pipes. But there is a good chance they are referring to the pipes that is under the foundation of the property, which is more involved than just digging up some dirt. Then you have to factor in how much of the pipe is damaged and would have to be replaced. So in the words of Umar Johnson, this is probably going to cost a couple bucks. Here he is on March 22nd of 2021 talking about the same problem, and it doesn't look like any work is currently being done to correct this problem.
Who to build? Body playing with y'all. We gotta get this Nat Turner Gymnasium right. We gotta get this Nat Turner Gymnasium right. We gotta get this Nat Turner Gymnasium right, brothers and sisters. We gotta get the Nat Turner Gymnasium right. That's what we trying to do. That's what we trying to do. Nobody got no time for that.
Here he is on April 30th of 2021, and the problem is still present, and it doesn't look like any work is being done.
Oh yes, brothers and sisters. This is where we gonna have our movie night in the Nat Turner Jean-Jacques Dessalines Gymnasium. The Nat Turner Jean-Jacques.
Here he is again on May 5th of 2021. You can see the problem in the gym is still present.
Offer some sisterhood circles right inside of this gymnasium. I'm going to offer some sisterhood circles right inside this gymnasium where I'm going to speak positivity and strength to our black women.
The problem he's having in the gym is not a new problem. This problem predates October 19th of 2020, the first time Umar Johnson made a video talking about the problem. If you look at the video I did, titled Look Inside the School, there is footage of him showing some people the gym, and you can see signs indicating that this problem was already present.
Now you're going to have a board of directors?
You got it.
That video was from June 9th, 2019. So this problem has been present for almost 2 years. It's also possible that this problem was present before Umar Johnson purchased this property. What do you think happens to a property where the water has been settling on the floor and drying over a 2-year span? Mold could start developing, the floor could be damaged, and based on the videos, we know that these problems have started to occur.
I think we could put the chairs around. We're going to wipe it off. We're going to get that. We're going to get that.
You can hear the person in the video telling Umar, hey, you see that black mold? And Umar's response is, we will wipe it off. Since there's a problem with water coming into the gym, you can't just wipe off the black mold. You would have to identify the source of the problem. Also, if the mold is developing on the backside of the drywall would have to be replaced. We also know from past videos the gym isn't the only place that has water damage. Also, based on audio, there seems to be a mold problem in other parts of the property.
Moving back. Yeah, why are you holding your nose? Because of what? What does it smell like?
In that video, you hear Umar ask the lady, why is she holding her nose? And she replies, because of the smell. He then asks what it smells like. And she, along with some other people, reply, wet.
So you plan to keep the carpets in the room?
I'm gonna talk that over with the carpentry because I don't know how much water damage.
In that video, you heard someone asking Umar if he's going to be replacing the carpets, and Umar answers stating he doesn't know because he doesn't know the extent of the water damage.
Come on in.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is the smaller, but as you can see, it still gives us enough room to get started.
Oh, it's stinking here a little bit. There's water damage in here.
You heard the lady as soon as she entered the building. She said, it stinks in here. There is water damage in here. Now we are going to listen to an audio clip from Umar Johnson's ex-employee in regards to mold in other parts of the property.
Then it came back the next day or some other time to clean out some mold, in which was a person was going to charge him $2,500 to rip down the whole ceiling and everything else. The carpenter, that's why he don't have no carpenters, because I said, yo, that's too much money. And so he's like, can we do it? And I said, no problem.
When I watch these videos, I am amazed how nonchalant Umar Johnson is about these problems. What is clear from all these videos is Umar Johnson purchased this property without getting an inspection. It's also clear when he made the video back in 2019, right after purchasing the property, and said the complete restoration would cost $1 million.
This is going to be heaven on earth, but y'all got to keep donating. Okay, y'all got to keep donating. How much is it going to cost to restore the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy? How much is it going to cost? The restoration cost is $1 million for complete restoration if I want to go through a regular contractor and building company.
It doesn't seem that that figure was based on the property being completely evaluated by a contractor, because here he is almost 2 years into this and he's discovering new rooms.
We're starting to get some work done. We actually got a room open that we never saw before. We got a room open that we never saw before. I'm going to show it to you.
Also, based on the videos we looked at earlier, there is water backing up in the gym. There is also a problem with the drainage system, and Umar Johnson doesn't know the source of the problem. There is also a mold problem. So in reality, Umar Johnson doesn't know what it would cost to repair this property because he is still discovering new problems. For a project of this size, he should be hiring a general contractor. The general contractor would go over the complete property and see what needs to be done. The GC would be also in charge of finding people to do the HVAC, plumbing, electrical, etc. They might already have a team, and if they don't, they would find subcontractors. The way Umar is trying to accomplish this task, by trying to find all these individual tradesmen, is going to be a logistical nightmare. Maybe he should have accepted the help that Lord Jamar was offering. Let me say something about that interview. That whole interview was a train wreck on Umar Johnson's path. The questions presented in that interview were softball questions. If Umar Johnson was on the up and up, he would have been able to answer them without getting offended. The part of the interview that really stood out to me was when Lord Jamar talked about the school his father-in-law started in New York, the Trey Whitfield School. He also mentioned the resources his father-in-law has access to. Lord Jamar also told Umar he spoke with his father-in-law and he would be willing to sit down with him, and Umar Johnson declined the offer. If I was starting an e-commerce business today and someone said to me, "Hey, I am friends with Jeff Bezos. I spoke with him and he's willing to speak with you about your e-commerce business." If you don't know who Jeff Bezos is, he's the founder of Amazon, the largest e-commerce business in the world. I would never refuse, because even though my business model might be different from Amazon, at the root, it's still an e-commerce business. And since he has started and ran a successful business, it would be very beneficial for me to sit down with him. So even though Lord Jamar's father-in-law's school is not based on Pan-Africanism, at the root, it's still a school that he started from the ground up. So there would definitely be some insight that he could have provided to Umar Johnson. But you see, pardon my language, there's a saying, you can't BS a BSer. If Umar Johnson was to sit down with someone that actually started a school like Lord Jamar's father-in-law, they would quickly be able to see through the facade of Umar Johnson trying to open a school. Now he's talking about he needs $300,000 for the taxes. I will cover that in another video.